All right, what is up, beautiful people? Welcome to the stream. Today is day 2 out of 25 of my Udacity Nanodegree live code and chill. I hope you all are doing wonderfully. I hope you're drinking water, staying hydrated. Um, we're about to jump right into it. So yesterday, as you can see, where I stopped was I was watching a 3 blue 1 brown video on what neural networks are and deep learning. Just putting this in combination with some of my nano degree studying. Didn't get very far yesterday. I spent about an hour and a half. I only got 6 lessons in. I'm not done with this quiz. I just felt really sleepy. So we're back here tackling it this morning. Um, let's put 3 hours on the clock and get it. Alexa, set an alarm for 3 hours.
3 hours, starting now.
Starting now. Let's go back into it. So, um, I'm going to finish the 3 blue 1 brown video just to really set my intentions for what I'm trying to do here. What I'm trying to do here is build foundations for understanding how machines work and how machine learning works so that I can put myself in a better place to start creating tools um, to help augment the human mind. So, yeah. Gonna, so we're about to watch a video, so join me. I'm not really deeply absorbing what's going on here or how it's working. I'm trying. Hmm. For me, that's almost beyond a lot to think about. Hmm. Getting the computer to find a valid setting. Okay. Hmm. This whole thing is still terrifying, but I'm here. Whether or not it's terrifying, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to try to figure it out. Okay. Another thing, notations, vectors, matrices, just not very familiar with any of them. But I'm going to go back and yeah, I feel like I need to improve my math background massively to be anywhere near competent at this. But I'm going to put in the work, man. I'm going to put in the work. This is the truth. Even when it works, dig into why, because there have been so many times I've done things, I've figured things out, but I had no idea why, and it was just as bad as getting the wrong answer or not knowing. In fact, it was worse because it gives you a false sense of security, and it leaves you even more unprepared in the future. A notationally compact way, that's one of our goals in coding all the time, is to be more, in a sense, compact. Okay, very good to know. I'm going to go back here and make a note of the linear algebra series. And so that's going to be some of my, um, this is going to have to be my supplemental learning. I have a very, not, I mean, I'm very aware of my deficits in linear algebra. So I'm going to have to take that time to understand what exactly is, what the heck is going on there. Um, 15 videos on linear algebra. And I strongly imagine that even then, I'll still need to put in the time to actually solve problems. Um, because yeah, I know watching videos is a super easy, very passive activity that anyone can do, but to really learn, you have to get your hands dirty, you have to get involved. So all of this terrifying as always, but we'll get through it. This itself is the goal. The learning is the goal. I have to remind myself of that. Mm, 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 a rectified linear unit. All right, so um, for me, I guess let me try to summarize what I've gotten out of these 18 minutes and 30 seconds of video. So, a neural network involves taking a series of inputs and parsing those inputs to an output using Okay, well, thanks, Siri. I didn't ask you for anything. One moment. I went to let myself get distracted. I was really seeking this distraction. Just a complete style icon. Absolutely a complete style icon. Amazing. Okay, so turning off my phone because I'm a distracted little bunny looking for distractions. Nobody's fault but my own. I'm going to turn off the iPad as well. Okay, iPad off. All right, all done. Okay, so back to what I was saying. So what do I understand about a neural network? A it's a function. It's essentially a function, right? That takes in a series of inputs and transforms that series of inputs or uses that series of inputs to parse and parses the series of inputs into what that input actually represents, I guess. This kind of neural network as it has been described. Things to note about the network are that it tries to mimic biologically neurons by by basing the system off of inputs and connections. And so the system gets increasingly complex because those inputs all sort of translate to connections. I don't really know how to describe it, but yeah, so it it emulates a biological system. That's as far as I can explain it. Um, it involves a lot of an understanding of linear algebra. Previously, you would use something called a sigmoid function to sort of squish the weighted averages. Okay, so this function uses weighted averages, positive weighted averages, to determine or to create its best probabilistic guess of what the function, what the output, the desired output is supposed to represent. Just pardon my English. Um, Involves linear algebra, matrices, um, understanding how to use functions. Now there's something called the rectilinear something. But yeah, that's as much as I get about it. I'm gonna have to circle back through all this stuff. Gonna have to really dig deep, really drill down into understanding what this is about. But yeah, that's what I got from the video. I have to just make a decision about whether to go into the next chapter, sorry, the next video, and just finish out the series, or go back into my nano degree. I think it's best that I go back into my nano degree because it's been built and shepherded to really get me where I need to go. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm already 20 minutes in. I want to make some real progress with my nano degree. I told myself that I want to get through modules 1, 2, and 3 by the end of my first day. I'm going to count today as my first day. I just started again last night, lots of distraction. I was exhausted. So yeah, let's call this my first day again. And and it's so easy to get distracted. So I'm just going to, this is saved. Right, this thing is saved. I'm going to save this all as well. Save this playlist as well. Just to create new playlist. And just linear algebra playlist. Alright, so jumping back into the quiz, we're doing a quiz on Python. We're learning about variable and assignment operators. I just did a quick question on using a variable to do some, using variable assignments to do some math. Um, and yeah, we use the minus equals assignment operator in this and the plus equals. So now, changing variable values. How does changing the value of a variable affect another variable that was defined in terms of it? Let's look at an example. How does changing the value of a variable affect another variable that was defined in terms of it? Okay, so I'm not sure. We'll see. We're intentionally not providing a place to execute the code here because we want to help you practice the important skill of walking through lines of code by hand. Each line of code executes in order, one at a time, with control going from one line to the next. So, and this is an important idea, the flow control of a language. So it goes one at a time, one line to the next. JavaScript doesn't need to work like this. As far as I understand, JavaScript works asynchronously, so it can go all over, but focusing on Python here. Um, so if we assign the value of the variable carrots to be 24 and the value of the variable rabbits to be 8, and then we say carrots per rabbit, that is the number of carrots each rabbit gets, to be carrots divided by rabbits, um, that means that each rabbit gets 3 carrots. So it says now we add a fourth line to this code that assigns a new value to the rabbits variable, which is 12 rabbits. Okay, that doesn't really need to do anything. Now we add a print line that says print carrots per rabbit. What are we going to get? So I believe that it's going to update the rabbits variable to make it 12, while the carrot variable stays the same. And as a result, going back into flow control, the carrots per rabbit operation is then going to update such that the result is 2. And so that is my answer. Okay, so not quite. Remember, the lines of code will execute one at a time in order. Alright, so let's try again. Was it the idea that I didn't get right, or my execution of the idea? So, So if we add this new fifth line of code here to the above, what will the output be? So carrots is equal to 24. So 24, 8, 24 divided by 8. And then we update rabbits to 12. Okay, I'm not thinking any fancy stuff here. So this is now essentially the same thing as being equals to 3. Alright, it'll still be 3. Let's try that. Okay, so you can't go back and change the variable. So it didn't run through and then flow back. It just went as it was. And so that won't really apply until we run a new operation. Alright, so question 3. Here is a list of US states in order of the dates they entered the Union. Say you wanted to create a variable for Delaware and assign it a value to signify that it joined the Union first. Which of the following are valid variable names and assignments in Python? Okay, so one of the things we know is that we don't use letters. Um, I think dill, as in delete, might be del for Delaware might be what's the idea now? It might be a reserved variable name. So I'm going to say Delaware. Um, I think DE might be fine, but we'll see. Okay, so that's correct. Yeah, del is a reserved word in Python. I don't know all the reserved words, but it's important to have a sense of them. So we have false, none, true, and, as, assert, async, else if or elif, delete, and I have to keep in mind that in Python it's elif, del for delete, def for define, continue, class, break, await, else, except, finally, for, from, global, if, import, in, is, lambda, non-local, not, nor, pass, raise. I'm saying all of this out loud so that I can reinforce the reading that I'm doing. Try while with yield. Okay, going back. So let's continue on to the next. All right, I got all my quiz questions settled here, and now we can move on to the next point. I'm going to push this back because I don't want to be focused on that. Good. Okay, so solution, assign and modify variables. This is our solution to the previous quiz. So how did I do it? Can I go back? I can't go back. I did it this way. Yeah, yeah. Cool. So this was what I wasn't equipped with, was this notation, was this multiply equals, and that's why my this thing was much longer. Just a lack of understanding, but good to know now. All right. So for the first multiple choice quiz, the value of crab has not changed that at all. That is still 3.0. That is because when a variable is assigned, it is assigned to the value of the expression to the right-hand side, not to the expression itself. Okay, so it's assigned to 3. Got it. Super important point. Variables are assigned to the value of the expression, not to the expression itself. I'm going to make a note of that just to reinforce it. Okay, very cool. Very, very cool. Integers and floats. Let's get it. I'm sorry, a little bit of my personal distraction here again. I want to see what this looks like. Okay, so they're unlisted videos. That's our friend Juna. Let's not try anything stupid right now. Let's just focus. Integers don't have allow for fractional values, while floats do. A float, yeah. I guess I finished my water already. I'll go get some more once I hit the 50-minute mark. Integers and floating numbers are all objectives. Do I really jump right into the next one or? Okay, no. So, the two types of Python data types that can be used for numeric values, for integer values, and float for decimal point values. You can create a value that follows the data type by using the following syntax. Int. Python best practices. This is if you want to go through all of this at a snail's pace. Software engineering limits. Okay, so why is 8 characters the standard limit for code width? Why 80 and not 79, 81, or 100? What's the origin of this particular value? Amazing. Alright, in the fishy situation below, some of the quantities are of type int and some are of type float. Check the ones that should be type float. Check all the ones that should be type float. That's int, length of fish you caught in meters, that's float, number of fish, int, it's not a continuous value, it's discrete, continuous, correct. Continue. Divide by 0. What happens if you divide by 0 in Python? Try it out, test this code. Alright, test run, see what happens. Okay, so it fails. Trace back. Most recent call last. So this is a virtual environment telling us that in the file path, line 1 in the module, we have a resulting error, zero division error, which the explanation is that I divided by 0. Traceback means what is the programming doing, what was the programming doing when it broke. This part is usually less helpful than the very last line of your error, though you can dig through the rest of your error looking at just the final zero division error, and the message says we divided by 0. Python is enforcing the rules of arithmetic. In general, there are two types of errors to look out for: exceptions and syntax. An exception is a problem that occurs when the code is running, but a syntax error is a problem detected when Python checks the code before it runs it. For more information, see the Python tutorial page on errors and exceptions. Not right now. Okay, they really want us to watch this right away, so. Booleans. Equal to, yeah. Alright, quiz. Which is denser, Rio or San Francisco? Try comparison operators in this quiz. This code calculates the population densities of Rio de Janeiro and San Francisco. Write code to compare these densities in the population of San Francisco. Is the population of San Francisco more dense than that of Rio de Janeiro? Print true if it is and false if it is not. So SF population, SF area, Rio population, Rio area. Um, Write code that prints true if San Francisco is denser than Rio and false otherwise. So I'm going to give it a variable name san underscore denser. That's minus underscore denser equals Why do you think Python uses plus or equals equals for checking equality rather than equals? Because equals is used to assign variables. All right, next. Nexto. Which is denser, Rio or San Francisco? Okay. I told myself I would wait till I had spent 50 minutes, and I have not, so keep going. Alright, let's get all the way dialed in. There's the double quotes. Alright, hope you didn't miss me too much. Alright. Okay, so let's jump into the quiz. I really want to get the quiz done and move forward. I feel like spending way too long on this, and I have no idea if. Yeah, this is just lesson 2, right? We're still going to go into lesson 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's a lot to get through, and I've spent way too much time on it because I want to jump into module 3, NumPy, Pandas, and Co. So, alright, so there's some other functions here that we can take advantage of. We know how to print a string with single quotes or double quotes now. We know how to use the backslash to escape a quote. Mm. So it'll give us an error. Alright, so we can also use addition to concatenate or multiplication to repeat. We can also index into strings by using the square brackets, 0 for the first position, and then subsequently on. Length function can produce the length of a string. Alright, so quiz, fix the quotes. Oh, we can either do this easily by just, and I think that's what we'll go for. We always go for the more elegant, this more simple response, a simple way to get something done. Problem is, I think, let's test it. Alright, so let's do the print forward quote. So let's test it. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Alright, so we can take that off and then submit answer. Yeah. We've already seen that type of object will affect time operators will work on them. What would be the output of this code? Coconut count. It'll be 34 on 5. Alright, in this programming quiz, you're going to use what you've learned about strings to write a logging message to a server. You'll be provided with example data for a user, the time of their visit, and the sites they've accessed. You should use the variables provided and the techniques you've learned to print a log message like this one, with the username, URL, and timestamp replaced with values from the appropriate variables. Yogesh access the site http. Okay, so that's the site thingy at. So we're gonna go username plus yeah, use string concatenation and the length function to find the length of a certain movie star's actual full name. Store that length in the name length variable. Don't forget there are spaces in between the different parts of a name. Okay, William Bradley Pitt. Brad Pitt. Alright. Thanks for the meal, sis.
Huh?
Thank you for the meal.